Hey, welcome back to Vice Grip Garage. A guy still got the pedal down on the old crew cab here, known as the Cat Farm crew cab. That's where I got it. Some of you may not have known that, actually. Tonight, I'm going to be finishing off the entire engine assembly here, the whole top side. So we're going to be putting on the valley pan cover thingy, the intake, valve covers, ignition coils, lightning hoses, sparkulators. I got tubes and hoses and throttle bodies, and it's a lot of stuff. I've got a whole table full of parts here. Let's get it done. So previously here, guy went ahead and got this front runner system up, which has all the accessorize on it. And that put me in a position here to go ahead and finish the rest of it up. And my goal tonight is to have this thing 100% buttoned up, with the exception of all the digital electronics, which includes obviously the sensors. Don't have a throttle cable figured out yet, and then obviously not the AC system or anything like that. And my hope is to get us set up to where all we have to do next is focus on the fuel system, get that all dialed in. I've got a different tank, pump, we got to put lines in, regulator, you name it. And then of course I've got a Terminator X system that we're going to have to mount, wire in, and do all the beep boops, plug all that stuff in, get this thing tuned. Then we should be able to fire this thing very soon. Let's go ahead and take a look at all the stuff here I got on the table. There's a lot. This video is brought to you in collaboration with NordVPN. So before we jump into the truck here, I want to talk a little bit about that. Face it, fellers, we've all been there, half awake, cruising the internet, trying to find that one car part. Finally, you stumble upon something, but it's in a weird language. Website looks a little sketchy. It's probably too late, fellers. Your data and privacy are definitely at risk, and that's where NordVPN comes in. NordVPN has virtual private networks literally all over the world, and that allows you to cruise the internet with confidence, knowing your data and information is secure and your privacy is intact. You can also find streaming services for cheaper. Now, as you fellers know, I have a lot of data and I certainly don't want it at risk. So I've been using NordVPN for a while, and their app is super simple. You can literally scroll through all of these different countries, click on it, boom, I'm connected to Hungary. I am kind of hungry, actually. It's past dinner time. And right now, you could try NordVPN risk-free thanks to their money-back guarantee. All you have to do is go to this link down here, nordvpn.com/ViceGripGarage, or just look down in my description there, click on that link, and it'll shoot you right over there. One of the biggest advantages for me using NordVPN is with how much I travel, I gotta be on the interwebs all the time. Using motel Wi-Fi is a gamble, and I'm talking a bigger gamble than a car show porta potty. You know what I mean? NordVPN takes care of all the worries and woes for me. So again, check them out, nordvpn.com/ViceGripGarage, or see that link down in the description. Let's get back to the crew cab here. Now, the extreme budget way to do this, and you guys already know this, and I'm preaching to the band or the choir or whatever, the organist or pianist, whatever. They have organs, I think. Anyway, what I'm saying is, you know this, the budget way to do this, buy something out of a junkyard, thin out the PCM, get some motor mount, slam it in. You might need an oil pan depending on your vehicle. I don't know what you got, right? But like I said previously, this is one build on the channel. I wouldn't really call it a build. This is one repair or make it run better that I kind of want to do more gooder, because I want my wife to be able to jump in this, turn the key, haul the kids to a show or go to town or whatever. I don't have to worry about it. I know it's reliable, it's gonna run good, and I don't have to keep working on it, right? So what I ended up doing, because I was running into the injector work with this versus that intake, and if I budget AC pumped this and use that power steering pump, does this bracket work? And it turned into a nightmare. What I ended up doing was just going to Summit Racing. That's what 80% of this is, the whole engine build basically. And the remainder of it is just motionraceworks.com. And that simplified it for me, because I just say I got a 5.3, what do I do? And they were like, yeah, these are the parts you're gonna need, and boop, boop, pretty much done. But I'll get you in here and kind of show you what I plan on putting on this engine tonight, and it should be basically this entire table, and that should button us up. I guess I'll try to show you the stuff in order, but the good news is I don't really know what that order is, so I'm just gonna scan, I think is what we're gonna do here. But all of this has got to go in with the exception of the Terminator X. That'll probably be, coming up next. But basically we've got the valley cover, this nice piece from Motion, the gasket hardware, and then we got the low ram intake from Holley, and we'll be putting the Icon throttle body in, which is in here. Goodness, they really got her in there. There she is, down in there. And then what do we do? I don't know. We'll probably put the valve covers on there. Those actually came with the valve cover gaskets, and I didn't know that, and bought another kit. So just FY to the I, they come with them. And then we got some coil brackets here. I'm going to be going with the Street Fire lightning cubes here. Apparently each cylinder's got its own coil. That's neat, technology or something. Throttle bracketry. This is a steam kit we got to put in here. And then we've got injectors. These are 48-pound EV1. And I'm not sure why I went with EV1, but I did. So that's what we're going to use. We got MSD lightning hoses. We got some MSD sparkulators. Some valley cover hardware, which I think is the same as this. So we'll just use the stuff from Motion most likely. Holley fuel rails. And basically all of this should essentially complete this engine. We're down to, like I say, the digicals, fluids, stuff like that. And then the big projects next are going to be hanging a fuel tank with an EFI fuel pump, plumbing all of that in. We might even get to putting on the front clip because we're going to have to put in a fuel pressure regulator most likely and have a bunch of that stuff. And I got to get a radiator and you name it, but we're making progress, okay? That's the important thing. I was actually looking back through some photographs. We still use Polaroids, flipping through the thing, trying to figure out when I had this engine put together, and I want to say it was fall of 2019, and it's been sitting since. It should make about 425 to 440 horse. We hadn't dynoed it yet. I just didn't want to pay for the engine dyno at the time, but it's got a really rowdy cam in it. We did a bunch of head work, springs, you name it. Put some really good king bearings in it, nice timing chain. So it should run really good. Of course, a big block would be nice. That's what a lot of you are thinking. I agree. And that'll make 450 horse easy, but it's going to do it at 7 miles per gallon, 10 if you really tune on her. Been there 40, 50, 60 times, okay? Although LS isn't unique, obviously everyone's doing it. I think swapped world is a saying now or something. But I mean, it makes sense. It makes me feel old, but it used to be small block Chevy, 350 and everything. Even Ford hot rods, right? 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s hot rods, everything was small block Chevy. So if you're wondering why I went with this, which a lot of you probably are, I just figured it's time that a guy just bites down on the bit and learns these LS engines because they're not going away. Let's face it. This is the future of hot rodding. Also, I wanted you guys to see me struggle through this. So if you're interested in doing this, maybe this will give you some motivation to get it done. Nope, that hurts the back. Okay, step 1, subsection J. After I put this engine up, I taped up the heads here so nothing could get in them, That's great, but now I'm dealing with 3-year-old painter's tape that does not want to come off. So I've got a rusty razor blade scraper with a dull razor blade that looks like a tooth off a chisel plow. I'm going to go ahead and just work that around here. See if we can, just snap that, okay. So I've got my fingers and we're going to, try to work this tape off. See if we can clean this up quick. 648 hours later, I got that easy task accomplished, you know. Now I'm kind of seeing why all you guys lose these 10 M&M sockets. I've used one a lot the last couple days. Not used to that. Getting this pull plate taken off here, and then we'll put the valley cover gasket and cover back in here. We deleted on the knock sensors, of course. You don't need them when you're just full send everything. A guy tried to use a couple different flavors of cheek poker on here, and it wasn't poking. You know what I mean? It was just heating this tape up and making a glue, basically. I used a really high quality tape that's auto body tape, and it just bit me. So I ended up using a chemical called Prep Ball, which is like a wax and grease remover. It's kind of an auto body kind of deal. And just some basic steel wool. And that cleaned these heads up really good, actually. Oh, we did have a little water get through here. Dang it. Some evidence of just a tiny bit of water coming in here. Not too bad, though. I think we're going to be just fine. You can see the new camshaft and timing gears and chains and stuff like that. Big old cam in that thing. This is more suited for the cheek poker. That'll wheel this rust right off. I'm going to get this cleaned up here really quick. Oh, yeah. Brand and new. I got that all cleaned up. Time for the valley cover gasket. Well, I guess that's done. And then the valley cover itself, gotta have sunglasses around this darn thing. Shiny stuff, just, I don't know why. It makes me nervous, I'm gonna say. Corpus crispy, that looks nice. Oh, I gotta get the hardware kit. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This thing's a lowrider. Feel like I got 10-inch wire wheels. Anywho, moving on to the base of the intake here. We got to get that ready with the little O-rings that go around, you know, the tubulators on a particular unit. I would go ahead and grease on these. That's what I'm doing before we plop these in. And a secret, whenever you're working a particular size O-ring into a boss or crevasse, that rhymed, should have been a wrapper. Anyway, don't run your thumb down it and like slide them into the groove. Because all you're doing is stretching this feller. You want down, direct force. Just get it in there, you know. But the grease is going to help protect us from ripping this or tearing it as we're sliding it into its new home. And then I've also got to put some pipe plugs in up front here, unless the guy's running sensors or whatnot. I guess you could do that too. I don't know what you got going on. Well, I do believe the guy's got the base intake here the way that I need it. I got 2 pipe plugs in here, minus the map sensor, but I've already test fit this a couple times. I think a guy can get his mitt around back in there if I need to. And right now I just got to get these studs in. I'm going to put just a shot of arrow curl on them, you know, and that'll help them just seat down in here, hopefully. Almost just made a mistake, but then I didn't. Got to looking at this and was eyeballing on her, and then I realized I need a vacuum for the brake booster here, and that's going to be one of these ports. So I backed that plug back out. I'm going to have to find a 90 for that. and also pick up a map sensor. And I think Holly has a couple part numbers in that big construction book that, we're going to ignore that. So I'm going to make a note that I'm going to lose, that I need to pick up those devices, and then later on during initial startup, we'll chase huge vacuum leaks. Plan? Okay, good. I wonder what Mark Chestnut's doing today. He's just been so quiet, Well, the guy's got every brass fitting made since April of 1946, except the right-hand one I need back here, so we're gonna have to get that in later because I ain't got the time. We gotta get things just moving here, you know what I mean? That slides on nice and easy. Just need the nuts and washers. You've probably figured out by now, but anything aluminum that's got multiple bolts or nuts, it's gonna have some sort of sequence. You can do what I do and ignore that, or you can also follow the constructions if you want to do that too, I guess. First step, half of 50 is 23, so we're going to go to that. Boy, this is dangerous. Is that the right number? It feels like I don't know about this. Well, the guy is glad that I checked. The constructions say inch pounds, not the earth pounders, the old feet pounds. Whew, that could have been really bad. So there we go. Now this is it's making a lot more sense to me. Okay, yep, sure, seems right. Oh, you betcha. Yep, that's good. Done. Sure. Yep, okay now. Right, best one. Oh, yep, that's good. Okay, sure. The O-ring here to the top half is a little bit different operation, okay? You gotta get her laid in, measure her up, slice through both of them at the same time with a razor blade or your pocket knife, whatever a guy's got, and then you gotta glue it. See, super glue, Gorilla Glue, aircraft glue, wood glue. Let's glue it together. And then what I'm gonna do, I think, is just take a dab of silicone, some room temperature vulcanization cream, and just boop, right where that snippet is. Then we'll throw that top half on. Also note, I read in the constructions up there, if you got one of them fancy units, you want this thing backwards going in this way with tubulators and Schussy slicers and all that stuff flying around, you got to turn the base with it. You can't just turn the top half, you got to turn the whole thing. That's what it says. I'm just telling you. All right, gasket is fitted, cut, glued, dried, installed, RTV'd. Now we can go ahead and set the top half on here. Boom. Consider that snagged on, I guess. Starting to actually look like something is going on here. This is typically an intake, as I understand it, for the Boostis applications. I just like the fact that it's really low and short, and it's going to bring the throttle body and intake air tubalizationals, I don't know what direction we're going yet, but maybe both. Maybe it goes this way. I'm not sure, but it's down is what I'm saying. And then there's some hardware for that over here. And I think this is 120 inch pounds. What is that, like 12 foot-pounds-ish? I don't know. We'll just do all of it. Well, that's all buttoned down, and 99.8362% of folks would probably say, well, now's the time to put the injector in, keep stuff from falling in there, and get the rails on, kind of finish up this whole thing here, and maybe even the, whoop. But I think what I want to do is go on ahead and replace these. I'm just tired of looking at them. Let's get these off. Get the Motion Raceworks ones on. They look so much better. I also wanted to look in here too. Oh yeah, that's nice and clean, and we can still see a lot of the assembly oil sitting in here. That's a really good sign. Hopefully there's zero issues with this thing firing up, which, knock on the balsa, that's going to be the case. It's just sat and sat. 0 miles should be all right. just work the gasket into these guys. And just a reminder, save your money. They come in the kit. I opened the box and didn't see them right away. After I lifted one up, they have them packaged neat down underneath of it here. So Jessica swung up to the barn to make sure that I was still alive. I'm gonna have her throw these valve covers on quick, and I'm gonna start prepping the injectors to get them set in. Gotta run a little bit of oil or grease around them O-rings, so when we seat them in, we don't cause any damage.
Well, maybe it was fate when you walked in the door. I could have sworn I've seen your face before. So glad that you said hi, 'cause I was way too shy. What would have happened if you just had passed me by tonight? We keep on drinking, keep on wishing for someone out there.
Derek has already greased up the O-rings on these injectors, so I'm just gonna come over here and put them in. These are really simple and easy to put in. You just have to give them a little wiggle as you're pushing it in. You just wanna be careful so you don't damage that O-ring. And you feel like a little, almost like a little connection, you just know it's there. So once we're done with these, Derek's gonna come back and he's gonna install the fuel rails.
So I went with 48-pound injectors by Holley, and they should be good for about 765 horsepower, 1200 mule, however you measure. And that's plenty for now until we put the twin Terpskys on down the road, and then we'll just swap injectors so the duty cycle isn't just, maxed out. Same process with the rails here. I got the top O-rings already greased, so we're just gonna fit her on there, wiggle jiggle, push, wiggle jiggle. She'll slide right on. While Jessica was finishing up the fuel rails there, I kind of mocked together the steam port kit that I got from Motion, and I just got her kind of laid up on the engine right now. And if you don't know what a steam port kit is, don't worry, either do I. Best a guy could figure is they're set up on the highest part of the heads, and well, they remove steam through ports. That's going to eliminate hot pockets in the head, keep your engine from running lean, Probably not that big of a deal on a stock setup, but when you get into the boostesses and whatnot, you want to keep all of them cylinders happy, consistent, and the same. This kit is a kit that comes with all the fittings and hoses, and you kind of just put her all together like Legos. I think I got it laid out here. I'll show you what we got going on. So I just got a hose laying in here, one over here, of course, and here's like the distribution block and whatnot. Each corner is going to get a little gasket and a block, of course, but essentially this guy is going to lay up in here, something like that, run across the front, and then these come to the back. This hose has got a 90. This one, they have 45-degree fittings as well, so that'll be that one there, and then I 45 this one too. And then eventually we're going to come out of the top again, the highest point, and we're going to bring this around and probably dump it into the radiator or into its own little container box holder can device. If a guy runs her into the rad, this bung right here is basically what you need. So you drill that in, weld her up, and then run this fitting in. Then you can take the same kind of hose around and you dump this in right below the radiator cap. You don't want to dump it into the water pump or anything like that, because you're just inducing more pressure and whatnot back into the same system. We want to bring this around into the radiator right below the cap, so the radiator cap can do its deal. When it lifts and releases pressure, then your overflow will take off and take over the job. Now, my radiator, I think, is an LS swap rad, so it has the right hose provisions for the LS, but it might also already have a port on there for this. I'm gonna get this all buttoned up. I gotta take this apart again. I just got it mocked, get some dope on everything, get this kit put in first, and then I think we'll move on to coil mount bracket trace, the ignition lightning little cubies, and then we'll get the hoses and sparkulators and everything else in. Really made a mistake up here on the drinker side front, stripped her out. Oofta. Ask me how fun it is finding the right tap for an M6x1 bolt. Real fun. Anyway, had to run into town, get some more hardware. I got to figure something out here for nuts and bolts because hour and a half to town and back just to get this, 58 cents and a bolt. I used to have some racks, you know. I'm going to have to get back to that. Just makes so much more sense. Anyway, making slow but sure progress here. Now that I got this hole figured out, I think I can just drop this in and keep on and moving. Oh, here it is. There, now we can kind of get a better idea of what this is going to look like. I got a 45 on this one. I think that's going to work best when I get this hose later put in. And then this one just 90 straight down. And then we'll probably run that other braided line out. I'm thinking probably this way because the cap's going to be, you know, on that side. Sparkulator time. Oh, I got two different flavors. They look like the same flavor, you know, just glancing at them, but I don't know what happened. I must have been deep in a wobble pop, or maybe I got two flavors so I could scan my peepers on them and then try to determine which one I wanted. But that was 2-3 years ago, and most likely number one. So I ran down to the parts store for the 78th time today and picked up some iridiums. They're made in Japan, so you know they're good. This will work for now, and then we'll just, you know, we'll pin it up and we'll circle back around. Yep. You know, one of the most important things you can do to maximize on the MPGs and horsepowers is gap your sparkulators correctly. Yep, this one's got one. Okay. Got all the pieces of the coil bracket laid out here, started fitting it together, and got this one kind of mocked up over here. That's what it's going to look like. It's nice it's got these sliders because a guy can really get some adjustability in this. And for example, if you got a big old Terpsky or something up here, you want to keep the heat away from your lightning coils, you can just boop, bring them back. I'm going to probably just line them up, get them as close as I can so the lightning hoses go straight down. So now that I know the lay of the land here, I'm going to put the other bolt in here, snug these up, and I could just take these two out, get all the coils mounted, put it back down, put those two in, and, you know, we're good. On these lightning hoses here, I'm definitely using this anti-digital electrotronical grease. What is this? Anti-seize stuff. I don't know. It's just, here's what I could tell you. If you use it, you're not going to spend 58 minutes taking them off when you do routine maintenance in 17 years. You know what I mean? I kind of like that these are black and gray. Everything is kind of starting to match here, and that's complete coincidence, actually, just by accident, but, you know, never mind. I planned. This is all pre-planned, organized stuff, you know. Well, last but not least, we're down to the throttle body on this. Whoop'em, whoop'em, whoop'em. You know, the onion maker, we'll call her. I went with the Motion. This is an Icon 102, and there's a couple of reasons for that. It's kind of a no-brainer purchase, in my opinion, because this engine might be changing configurations. I don't know, right? And the way it is right now, I don't know what my air intake's gonna look like. If I'm gonna try to get a generic one or like a K&N or make one or something like that. So right now I have like this slip-on fitting. It just bolts right in. I could slide like a rubber sleeve, like an elbow or something like that on here. But if I were to change the setup in a year or two and put some sushi slicers, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I could put a V-band clamp style on here with an elbow or 45 or a Y or whatever, but still use the same throttle body. You just simply unbolt the front, bolt the new one on. So you end up saving a ton of money in the end. So boy, I can hear my son out there just riding the rev limiter on that poor go-kart. Actually, never mind, we took the governor off. He's just floating the valves on that thing, you know. That Predator engine, I'll be able to tell you guys here in a couple months how good they really are, because he's just really testing on her. By the way, that's the same exact reason I went with this intake, is if we ever get into boostices on this, we don't have to buy another one. That's hard on the billfold, fellers. You know what I'm saying? Well, how's the guy get this one? Yeah. Like that, I guess. Well, it's definitely looking like a going to town unit. Let me know what you guys think. Bleep bloop that down there in the comments. Let me know if you think I'm headed in the right direction here with this build. Well, I think that's gonna do it for now. Next time you see this truck, we're gonna jump headfirst into the kiddie pool. You know what I mean? Just full on swan dive. We gotta get a new fuel tank in it, fuel pump, fuel lines, regulator, and then jump into the digitals, start plugging in bleep bloops, figure out where to put that computer, and get into this Holley Terminator X system. It's gonna be quite a bit. But we're inching our way closer to finally hearing the Cat Farm crew cab fire up. Also, thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Please check those guys out. There's a link down there in the description for you. Thanks guys for watching. Appreciate it very much. We'll see you next time. Whew, cold snack time.